folks. We're back, episode number 9. Another quick break. Space Coast Podcast Studios. Dorian's coming our way. We need to pay attention here in Florida.
Oh, yeah, there's a hurricane headed our way, huh?
There's a hurricane.
It's going to roll over Puerto Rico again, sadly.
Well, they don't need that. I don't know who's
Trump's
in the way.
Trump's going to go throw him some paper towels. He'll be all right.
Trump, well, first of all, that was pretty cool of him, by the way, because they needed those paper towels. They also got $98 billion to misappropriate of our tax money, which is fucking nuts. You're welcome, Puerto Rico. And Trump, I don't know what the deal with this is. I actually didn't research it because I thought it was so silly. Speaking of hurricanes and Trump.
Are we going to talk about him nuking hurricanes?
What's the deal with that?
Okay, so
real quick, what
I
is that
totally
about?
researched it.
Yeah.
So
what happened?
Okay, so basically there was some meeting about hurricanes like a little while back, and Trump goes, "Well, why don't we just drop a bomb in them?" I don't think he said nukes. He said, "Let's drop a." The story like evolved,
right?
And he said, "Why don't we just drop a bomb in the middle of this thing to like steer it off course away from America?" It's probably like some internet thing or something you must have read somewhere, right?
Right.
And so and then the people were like, because it's funny because the person who wrote the article that I read, they actually talked to the person and they're like, "Well, how did you guys respond to that like in the meeting?" Right. And they're like, "We'll look into it, Mr. President."
That's all you can say.
Yeah, and so then again, in a more recent one with this hurricane that's coming, Trump said it again. You know, why can't we just nuke it or send this thing off course? And the people are like, "Oh,
is there any way we can drop a bomb on Dorian?"
And then the article I read said that you can't do that. What Trump is a victim of sometimes is being a simpleton, right? So the proper way, if you're a president, would be like, is there any science out there that we could use that could move a hurricane or could send a hurricane off course? But
is there any way to manipulate the pattern of the storm?
Yeah, and he would have no drama at all. But because he speaks in like Twitter, you know, it's like, let's just drop a bomb in a hurricane. Like, it just goes viral instantly.
And through like the telephone game, like when you were kids and you whispered into the ear, now it's a nuke.
Exactly.
And I want to know, is there any way to nuke this hurricane? Like, what the fuck is anyone talking about? Nuke the hurricane.
And then oddly enough, this all plays into just the whole Trump aura of just so much information flying around him. It protects him. It's like a force field of just constant like news breaks and things going viral. It's impossible to even get your hands wrapped around the guy, you know?
It even got USA Today did a whole article. You can't nuke a hurricane to stop it, as Trump reportedly suggested.
Because that's how powerful the president is. When he says it, there's a whole group of people now that will believe you can nuke a hurricane and the government won't let us do it because they want us to get hurricanes. That's a thing now, and it'll be out there forever. That's how powerful the president is.
This is a hurricane conspiracy. They're not letting us nuke those canes.
Oh, my God.
That's like meth gators.
What would happen? I wish that they should do a simulation. If you were to drop a bomb or a nuke into a hurricane, you think it just spits it out the side? Even if it explodes inside the hurricane, does the storm just dissipate, or is there just nuclear fallout all over it?
I'm a believer.
I can't see a scenario where it would go well.
We can manipulate weather. I do believe that they can man-made push these things along and do shit like that. I don't know if they can like stop one. You know what I mean? Like put a clog in it. You know what I mean?
Also,
like it's not spokes on a bicycle wheel.
Stronger. The last big storm we had in Florida, the one that did crush Puerto Rico, that thing was like the size of the state. So as much technology as we have, we just don't have the ability to blow a hurricane the size of the state of Florida away. It's just huge.
If we did, we would know about it, and it'd be something they've been working on because we've had hurricane problems for 100 fucking years. Everybody will keep that in mind. There's been a lot of crazy hurricanes over the time. I think we would already have this in check if that was the kind of technology that was available.
Yeah,
don't you think?
And the things about these weather things is that they happen in areas and they happen in patterns. And so, you know, there's like a hurricane alley, there's a tornado alley. And when it comes up through that warm water and it's just the way that the winds wind right there, it just creates this thing. It's not something that is that easily to disperse. You can't just go sprinkle salt on the top of it like you can your ice in your driveway, you know? I'm
not a big climate change guy. You certainly more are. And I think there's merits to some of the argument. Where I think it starts to discredit the argument a little bit is when an AOC and people are referencing the hurricanes as complete and undeniable proof we have a big problem here. We really don't. I will say that any warming of anything is a problem. So as that's with 100%. But we've had dangerous storms intermittently for a long time, for 100 years, and there's no science to say that anything's gotten worse or this or now. So I just don't think it's fair to tie every storm. They literally did it with the tornadoes. They do it with the storms.
They go too far. We've always had tornadoes.
Unfair.
We've always had big storms. We've
always
had hurricanes.
You lived in Florida.
The planet has had ice ages before.
Right.
But on the liberal side, on my side, on the Democrat side, we did have a hole in the ozone that we did fix. And the ocean is dirty and the land is dirty. You can see it.
Right.
You can see that it's dirty.
Other problems.
So
legit.
I think we should be able to reasonably clean some of this shit up. The idea, though, that we can turn around what all these other countries are doing, you know, when we talk about Andrew Yang, I think he's right. I don't think that we can stop China and some of these other countries from polluting the shit out of the environment. So it's a bigger question there in the long run. But I also think that even if some things go underwater, humans are very adaptive. So if we lose a little shoreline here or there, obviously it's over a long period of time. It doesn't happen overnight. I think we'll be fine.
Andrew Yang said it. You're going to have to run for higher land, and that may happen. I don't believe it's going to happen in 12 years.
And it's not for everybody, but people in Miami, Key West, you know, there's some places are going to go underwater. And I don't think there's any reasonable way to stop that, or that it's even worth stopping it.
There is a possibility that if everything that is on sea level, your Baton Rouge, your Manhattan Island, your Miamis, that if this does happen, yes, you are fucked. There's no doubt about it, and you have to move inland. Well, guess what? Let me just say, that's called adaptation. That's what animals do before, when we were more primitive. Remember, folks, you just got to deal with what comes. Now, if you cause that to happen and you mess shit up, lesson learned, right?
And don't forget, too, that a lot of this is American, right? We're very egocentric in America, but if a earthquake, for instance, hits like Haiti, guess what? Everything's destroyed. Nobody gives a shit. They move to another area and they build a new hut, you know? In America, we're so babied, we're so cocooned by everything that we've built here that we can't imagine losing an area. But places on the earth are changing all the time. Volcanoes are coming out of the sea. New earth is being created. Other earth is going under in subduction. So the planet is alive, and people need to get comfortable with that idea.
What animals do, and what primitive man, like you just said, was, if your hut gets blown down, build new hut somewhere else. There was no fucking loyalty to the latitude and longitude you were at. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But now that we have cities and buildings, and my Chipotle is right up the block. Hey, dude, if you got to move, you got to move.
Yep, exactly. You know, the idea that you can just, you know, set up in your little perfect neighborhood and live your whole life is a great idea, but it doesn't always happen. I mean, and we're lucky. We've never been hit by a meteor or any of the crazy scenarios that we could get into, you know. You could live a pretty cush life. If the worst thing you're worried about is a little sea level rise, which is happening, I mean, you can go see icebergs melting, right? Then it's really not the end of the world, but it also doesn't mean we shouldn't try to live in a clean environment, right?
Now, does this mean that God / if you believe in God / Mother Nature / whoever and what we're ruining is going to cause these tides to rise, that it's going to happen on both coasts where all the liberals are?
Well, dude, if you believe in God, of course God's going to do that. He already did it. He drowned everybody out with Noah. He drowned everybody out. God is vindictive. If you believe in God, and I don't know why you would, because you're an adult and you're listening to the show, which means you're probably pretty smart, but if you do believe in an imaginary man in the sky, you have to ask yourself, why is he so mean? He kills people. You have to put blood on your door so he doesn't like kill your child. He floods out all of mankind because he's mad at them, except for one dude and a couple animals. I mean, God is a dick.
I'm going to find a picture of you somehow, some way, when you were young with your Ash Wednesday mark.
I went to Catholic school. That wouldn't be hard to find.
I'm going to find your Ash Wednesday mark. We went off the rails a little bit because of the Trump hurricane thing. Very funny story, and then the climate change.